What's up, dogs? Today I thought I'd talk a little bit more about mixing, in particular, EQ and compression. I don't have anything heaps planned, but I have a basic kind of idea. Well, you go on the internet and you type in YouTube how to mix and everything like that, and obviously the main things they're going to be talking about are things like that, using compression, using EQ, gain staging, maybe some effect stuff, maybe some workflow, that kind of thing. But they don't really give much like philosophy or anything behind it. Like they'll show you a trick to use on an EQ plugin or a compressor plugin, and they'll say, oh, this attack time works quite good with drums and everything like that. And that's true. That's true. It's all true and everything like that. But it's like, then I think when you're kind of first starting out, that you get into the mindset where it's like, oh, okay, so that's what I learned, and that's what you've got to do. That's what you do to get a good sound in your kick drum or whatever, and everything like that. And you've got to boost the EQ here, and because 75 hertz is like the big beefy part of the kick drum and everything like that. But it's like it depends completely on the source, you know what I mean? And it depends completely on the style of music, and it depends completely on what vibe you're going for, and what instruments are actually in the mix. So I guess the thing is with EQ and compression that I'm getting at is like, when you start your mix, when you first bring it up, be very, very sparing. Don't just slap an EQ on and go nuts, and don't put a compressor on and go nuts. Like, bring the mix in, bring it up, pull your faders up, and just listen to the song over and over again, and get the feeling for it, you know what I mean? Like when it's just unbalanced and raw, like what's driving the song, and what do you want to drive the song, and start feeling, you know what I mean? Start trying to dance to it, and getting in your body and think, what's preventing me from getting the best feeling right now? And then you might be like, kind of like, I feel like I want the rhythm in the hi-hat to be like a little bit more stronger, so maybe I'll make that like a little bit brighter and turn up some of the high mids so it kind of cuts through the rhythm of it. Or you might think it just doesn't have enough weight in it, so it's not bringing you down and stuff like that, like the beat of it. So yeah, then you might want to turn up a particular frequency in the kick drum and things like that. Or you might find that the overall mix is, not glued together enough, so you don't really feel like you're listening to a song yet. That might be something as simple as just adding a compressor to the actual mix bus than the actual, individual track. So it's like, that's another thing, mix bus compression. It's like, watching a few videos from like really professional dudes like Andrew Sheps and things like that. It's like, start at least, I think, with a little bit of compression on your mix bus, and maybe a little bit of EQ, like a boost in the low end and a boost in the top, because it'll just bring it together and turn it into a song without you having to like, oh, go here and go here. And then, as I said, be sparing with like the EQ and stuff like that. It's like the one thing that, okay, this is the one thing that I'm focusing on at the moment, in terms of workflow and like using EQ. EQ is like paint, you know what I mean? It's like you're creating a certain color and everything like that, and a certain, vision. Um, don't go boosting. Don't go boosting my, that song, whatever. Like, generally speaking, in these days, songs aren't being recorded in these amazing studios with amazing sounds, with amazing recording engineers and everything like that, and amazing instruments. They're being recorded on a budget, with like, kind of very clean preamps from like, kind of moderately cheap things like a Focusrite interface or something like that. And it's coming in very clean. So you're not going to have much coloration. It's going to be this kind of raw, kind of like almost boring sound. And it's like, number one rule, when something goes through a mics and comes in like that, it's going to lose a lot of life, okay? So life. So, and when I'm talking about life, it's like, what does life sound like right now? Right now, just use your ears. Just use your ears and listen to life. There's a lot of air. Like all you're hearing is air moving at different kind of frequencies and stuff like that. And there's a lot of high frequencies that you can't even hear that give this kind of like very open feeling in your ears. And that's what's generally missing uh, in your raw tracks in your mix, okay? So there's two ways to achieve this, right? By boosting and cutting. Maybe you're just going to need to get a high shelf and boost the high end so it gets a bit of life, a bit of air. But there's another way to do this that, and I think they actually go together. Like you do these together, right? High pass filter, cut off the really low crap that you don't need, like rumble and stuff like that. It automatically frees up the sound and gets it to life a little bit more. And then do a really drastic boost, anywhere between, 100 and 500 or something like that. Anywhere between there, maybe two boosts with two, like if you're using a parametric EQ, and find the two most muddy, bleh, gross, bleh, that just sound like fucking mud trolls. Find those two frequencies and cut them out a little bit. As soon as you do that, you'll find that the track, it can breathe. So high pass filter, cut off the rumble, get rid of those really ugly murk. It's usually mud down lower and then murk up like 400 and 300 to like 500. Murk and mud. Cut out those two just a little bit to start with, and give yourself a little bit of a high shelf at like 5K or 8K or something like that. Maybe 8K, because 5K can get a bit harsh if you keep on boosting that on all the individual tracks. Yeah, and before you know it, your track has been brought to life, okay? There you go. And it's very simple, okay? Don't go changing the tone by like doing this huge boost at like, 2000 or something like that, because things will just get harsh and go crazy. It's like, yeah, it sounds good individually, but by the time you do that with everything, it's like, everything's fighting each other and you end up really fucked. And in terms of compression, like, one thing I'm noticing lately is like I used to have a tendency to use really fast attack times all the time. I don't know why I was doing that. I think it's because I had it in my head that, the more you're slamming it and pushing down everything, that you're going to get a more balanced thing. But the thing is, like, if you use really fast attack times all the time, all your transients in the mix go, and then you end up with this really muddy, like, just that kind of sound, because nothing's kind of like jumping out. There's no excitement cutting through and everything like that. And I think that then you really dig yourself into a hole, because you've cut all the transients off and it sounds very muddy and weird. And then you try to fix it by boosting with the EQ, like boosting anywhere from like 1000 upwards, trying to find these peaks and stuff like that make the mix more exciting and jump out. But because you've cut off all the transients, like it just doesn't work. And then you end up like just boosting so many frequencies and stuff like that. And the more you're boosting all the time, you get all these tiny phase indiscrepancies, and then it starts really getting weird. So in terms of compression, like, chill out on the attack time, like open it up a little bit, particularly on drums, so you can really get that nice kind of punchy sound. Which, like, even in like, songs that you don't want to be punchy, you need transients. And go easy on it. Like, don't slam your shit too much to begin with. And I think if you're mixing like rock or anything like that, set up a parallel chain as well. Just have that, make a template as well, and have a parallel chain, like where, you've got like a pretty nice, nasty compressor on there that you can really slam shit with and get some tone as well as some really good balance and control. And you can just bring that in instead of like really slamming all your tracks and stuff like that, because it gets a bit unnatural. Anything else? Your release time is going to be the thing that, like, compression's all about depth in the mix as well, so you kind of got to like be a bit like different with everything. Everything's gonna need a different release time to kind of like suit the kind of playing style it has, like the sustain in that instrument and everything like that. But I think that like a lot of the time a really fast release works good, especially if you want that kind of like that cool sound. But I don't think that works that good on bass. From like, it feels like a bit weird or something like that, because bass is such a weird instrument a lot of the time. It's, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else? Another thing, like, Distortion, slight distortion. I sometimes prefer that over compression, if you know what I mean. Like having a parallel distortion chain, um, where I'm kind of really smashing it with distortion and it gets so squashed and stuff like that. It's like a different version of it and does a lot for the tone as well. And you can bring that in just a little bit, particularly with like I don't know, like either those meaty frequencies around 250, like on a snare, or like you know, even kind of like the presence of the vocal or something like that. This, you know, really distorted sound. You can just put it in there, and it really focuses it and stuff like that, and it kind of works well with compression and on parallel compression as well. You can even have your parallel compression chain and then put a bit of distortion on that, and that can work really well. So yeah, like bring your tracks to life, okay? Don't go changing them. Don't go boosting heaps hardcore. Just bring them to life. Cut the mud, cut the murk, bit of a high end boost because it's probably going to need it. And then high pass filter just to cut the rumble. And then go easy on your EQ overall. Keep it natural because you'll just end up with crazy shit going on. And chill out with your attack times and stuff like that. Let the transients through to a point, because otherwise you're just going to fuck your mix up and it's going to sound like a big fucking fat, you know, gross thing. And fiddle with your release times for your depth and stuff like that, and just go easy. Like don't think that you have to do every technique that you see on YouTube, that kind of thing. Anyway, that's about it, I reckon. Cool. Another video tomorrow.